A missing luxury watch. A black handyman falsely accused. Whispered lies spread through the office, stripping Joshua of his dignity. But when the truth was revealed by surveillance cameras, the shocking betrayal turned the entire company upside down. What happened next would stun even the most jaded. Let's start at the beginning. Joshua took pride in his work, a trait instilled in him by his late father, who had taught him the importance of integrity and perseverance. As a handyman at Summit Tech, he approached each task with quiet determination, whether fixing leaky faucets, repairing electrical issues, or assembling office furniture. Despite the repetitive nature of his work, Joshua found satisfaction in leaving every task better than he found it. He saw himself as more than just the handyman. He was a vital part of the team, ensuring that the office environment ran smoothly. Summit Tech, with its glass-walled conference rooms and constant buzz of activity, was a far cry from Joshua's previous jobs. It was a place where executives in tailored suits discussed big deals over artisanal coffee and where employees typed furiously on sleek laptops, racing against deadlines. Joshua's presence among them was practical but understated. Most employees greeted him with polite nods or thanks, but few truly acknowledged his contributions. However, not everyone at Summit Tech treated Joshua with even a modicum of respect. The finance department, nestled in a corner of the 12th floor, was home to a clique of employees who seemed to thrive on their sense of superiority. Eric, the group's leader, was in his late 30s, with a reputation for arrogance and sharp-tongued humor. Known for flaunting his wealth and cracking jokes at the expense of others, Eric often turned his attention to Joshua. "Bet he's not used to working in a place like this," Eric quipped one day when Joshua entered the finance department to repair a filing cabinet. The room fell silent for a moment before Eric's group broke into forced laughter, their discomfort evident. Joshua, overhearing the remark, felt a sting of humiliation, but chose to focus on his work rather than confront Eric. It wasn't the first time he had encountered such prejudice, and he had learned long ago to pick his battles. Still, the tension in the finance department lingered. Every time Joshua passed through, Eric's clique would exchange glances or whisper just loudly enough to ensure he could hear fragments of their conversation. Words like "watch your stuff" or "keep an eye on him" floated through the air like daggers. Joshua felt their judgment, but refused to let it show, maintaining a calm professionalism even as the atmosphere grew more toxic. One evening, as Joshua was finishing a repair job in the executive suite, a commotion broke out in the finance department. Eric's booming voice echoed down the corridor. "Where the hell is it?" he barked, panic and anger lacing his tone. His luxury watch, a status symbol he never failed to flaunt, was missing. Employees gathered around, whispering and speculating. Joshua, oblivious to the chaos, packed up his tools and prepared to leave for the day. Before he could make it out of the building, Eric stormed into the hallway, his face flushed with indignation. "You!" he shouted, pointing an accusatory finger at Joshua. "You're the only one who's been near our offices all day." Joshua froze, stunned by the sudden accusation. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said calmly. "I've been working in the executive suite all afternoon. You can ask anyone." Eric wasn't interested in explanations. "Convenient," he sneered. "But no one else had access to that area except you. So where's the watch?" By now, a small crowd of employees had gathered, their eyes darting between Eric and Joshua. The weight of their judgment was palpable, even though none of them spoke up. Joshua's heart sank. He could feel the prejudice in the air, thicker than ever. Despite his best efforts to remain composed, the sting of the unjust accusation gnawed at him. "Search me," Joshua said, spreading his arms in a gesture of transparency. "Look in my bag, my tools, anywhere you want." Eric's clique exchanged smug glances, as if this act of compliance confirmed their assumptions. HR was summoned, and within minutes an official search began. Although nothing was found, Eric pressed harder, insisting that Joshua must have stashed the watch elsewhere. His tone was sharp, his words cutting. "These types always know how to cover their tracks," he muttered to a colleague, loud enough for Joshua to hear. Joshua's voice, calm but resolute, cut through the rising tension. "I didn't take anything. and I'm not going to stand here and let you humiliate me because of your assumptions. But Eric's group, emboldened by their leader's bravado, only grew louder. They demanded HR take immediate action, threatening to involve the police if the matter wasn't resolved swiftly. Joshua stood there, feeling the weight of their baseless accusations, his dignity hanging by a thread. What none of them realized, however, was that the building's state-of-the-art security system had captured everything, and the truth was about to unravel in a way no one had anticipated. By the next morning, the quiet hum of Summit Tech's office had been replaced with the buzz of murmured conversations and furtive glances. The story of Eric's missing luxury watch and the accusations against Joshua spread rapidly, fueled by whispers and assumptions. "Did you hear? They think the handyman took it," one employee whispered over the sound of the coffee machine. $1,000 watch? Who else could it be?" added another, shaking their head. Joshua arrived at work that day with a sense of foreboding, the usual routine of checking his schedule and organizing his tools feeling oddly heavy. As he walked through the office, he could feel the shift in how people looked at him, or rather, avoided looking at him. Conversation stopped mid-sentence when he passed, and co-workers who had previously greeted him with friendly nods now quickly averted their gazes. It was as though an invisible cloud of suspicion followed him, suffocating and ever-present. At 10 a.m., Joshua received a summons to HR. He had expected it. How could he not, with the weight of the rumors pressing down on him? As he entered the small, sterile conference room, he was met with the stern faces of two HR representatives, a silent observer from the legal department, and Eric, who sat smugly with a stack of papers in front of him. The tension in the room was palpable. Eric wasted no time laying out his version of events, his voice oozing with practiced confidence. "It's pretty obvious, isn't it?" he began, leaning back in his chair as if he were the judge and jury. "The watch didn't just grow legs and walk off, and Joshua here, no offense, is the only outsider who had access to our department all day. The watch is worth thousands. It's not something you just misplace." Joshua kept his composure, though he could feel the weight of Eric's words sinking into the room. "I didn't take anything," he said, his voice calm but firm. "I've been working in the executive suite all afternoon. Check my bag, my tools, anything you want." One of the HR representatives nodded and motioned for a brief search. They went through Joshua's toolbox, his backpack, and even his pockets with meticulous care. When they found nothing, Eric leaned forward, his expression a mix of impatience and indignation. "He must have hidden it somewhere. People like him know how to cover their tracks." Joshua's jaw tightened at the implication, but he kept his voice steady. "I've done nothing wrong. You can search wherever you like, but you won't find anything because I didn't take the watch." Despite the lack of evidence, the room seemed to tilt in Eric's favor. His confident demeanor and the support of his clique, who had filed multiple complaints in support of his claims, created an atmosphere of pressure that HR could not ignore. "If you don't act," Eric said, his tone hardening, "we'll involve the police. Do you really want that kind of publicity for the company?" Joshua sat silently as the HR representatives exchanged uneasy glances. The suggestion of police involvement felt like a hammer poised to strike, and he could feel his sense of control slipping away. His pride, his dignity, and his integrity, everything he had worked so hard to maintain, were being stripped from him in real time, all because of a baseless accusation. Meanwhile, no one in the room seemed to remember, or care, that the office was equipped with a robust security camera system. The chaos of accusations and the rush to judgment had eclipsed the simple possibility of verifying the truth. But the truth was there, silently recorded, waiting to expose a reality far more shocking than anyone in that room could have anticipated. HR finally reviewed the security footage, hoping to find evidence that would confirm or dispel the accusations. What they discovered left them stunned. The footage from the finance department corridor showed Eric, the very person leading the charge against Joshua, discreetly taking the watch and slipping it into his briefcase. The video also captured Eric's group laughing later, seemingly concocting the story to frame Joshua. Their motive became clear. They resented Joshua's presence and wanted to humiliate him to maintain their sense of superiority. That afternoon, HR called a company-wide meeting. Eric and his group sat smugly, assuming the purpose was to announce Joshua's dismissal. But when HR revealed the footage, gasps filled the room. Eric's face drained of color as the evidence of his deceit played on the screen. "We have identified the individuals responsible for this false accusation," the HR manager announced, locking eyes with Eric and his clique. "This behavior is unacceptable. Effective immediately, their employment is terminated." Joshua, standing in the back of the room, felt a mix of relief and vindication. The truth had finally come to light. News of the incident spread quickly through the office, shifting the narrative entirely. Employees who once ignored or judged Joshua now approached him with apologies and offers of support. While he accepted their words graciously, Joshua made it clear that their change of heart came too late. The company's leadership publicly acknowledged the incident, pledging to overhaul their workplace culture. They introduced mandatory anti-bias training and implemented policies to ensure fair treatment for all employees. Though the experience left deep scars, Joshua found strength in his resilience. One day, the CEO personally visited him. "I owe you an apology, Joshua. We failed to protect you, and that's on us. You've shown more integrity than most of us ever could." Joshua smiled faintly. "All I wanted was a chance to do my job without judgment." In the months that followed, Joshua became an advocate for workplace equality, sharing his story with other companies and inspiring change. While the memory of the accusation still lingered, it served as a reminder of the power of truth and the strength it takes to stand tall in the face of injustice.